Paris, June 1940. The magnificent Louvre Museum, often called the world's largest art gallery, is about to become the unlikeliest of battlefields. The Nazis have already captured much of France. The soldiers are marching toward Paris with their eyes set on the Louvre, but as they march in, they find nothing. The Louvre is empty. The galleries are eerily silent, the walls stripped bare. The once proud frames hang on the walls like ghosts, their portraits missing, their sculptures vanished into thin air. The Nazis, utterly stunned, can't believe their eyes. The treasures they had come to plunder are nowhere to be found. It's as if they were never there at all. This is not the work of magic. No, this is the story of one man, Jacques Jaujard. Part 1. Jacques Jaujard, the visionary within the museum. Jaujard was no soldier. He wasn't a spy. He wasn't an architect of military strategy. He was simply the deputy director of the Louvre Museum, an unassuming, mild-mannered man with a passion for art, history, and the preservation of his country's soul. But Jaujard had something far more important: foresight. Born into an intellectual family, Jaujard's early years were spent steeped in the world of art, history, and antiquities. His passion for protecting cultural heritage wasn't just academic, it was personal. He understood the power that art had to shape not just history, but the very identity of a nation. In 1938, as war loomed on the horizon, Jaujard began to prepare. The Spanish Civil War had shown him the devastation that war could bring to the cultural heritage of a nation. When the threat of Nazi invasion became imminent in 1939, Jaujard knew the same fate could befall France. He took it upon himself to protect what could never be replaced. In a move that would go unnoticed by the Nazis, Jaujard began secretly evacuating the Louvre's vast collection of art. Part 2. The mission begins, the evacuation of the Louvre, August 25th, 1939. The Louvre, one of the most famous museums in the world, is ordered to shut down for renovations. But this closure is no ordinary museum project. What happens behind those closed doors will echo throughout history. In the dead of night, Jaujard assembles a team of trusted curators, conservators, and museum staff. All of them are sworn to secrecy. Their task is monumental: to safely evacuate 1,862 paintings from the Louvre's walls, along with thousands of other works, from ancient Greek statues to masterpieces by Leonardo, Rembrandt, and Vermeer. But Jaujard doesn't simply direct the operation, he drives it. Each artwork is carefully packed, catalogued, and sent on its way. The works are loaded into 203 vehicles, their plates replaced with simple numbers to avoid suspicion. For security, each vehicle is accompanied by guards, drivers, and historians. One piece is undoubtedly the most famous: the Mona Lisa. The world's most famous painting is a symbol of France itself. Jaujard's team wraps her with delicate cloth, and she is placed in a specially designed crate. With her in the back of an unmarked truck, the team drives her through the back streets of Paris. At one point, the convoy stops for gas, and a soldier eyes the truck. The tension is palpable, but the Mona Lisa remains safely hidden. Part 3. The art moves, the castles of the Loire Valley. With the artworks securely packed, the next challenge is where to hide them. The German forces are already advancing toward Paris. Jaujard knows that the key to success is decentralization. The artworks need to be spread out over a vast area, hidden in plain sight and protected from the growing dangers of Nazi occupation. The Loire Valley, with its forested hills and isolated castles, becomes the ideal sanctuary. The first stop is the Château de Chambord, a 16th-century castle built by King Francis I. The sprawling estate, surrounded by forests and marshlands, is hidden deep in the French countryside. Here, the Louvre's masterpieces are stored in secure rooms and cellar vaults. The Winged Victory of Samothrace, a masterpiece of Hellenistic art, is brought here, along with works by Raphael and Michelangelo, But Château de Chambord is just the beginning. Jaujard knows that relying on one place alone is dangerous, so he disperses the works to other, less obvious locations. Château de Valençay becomes the next refuge. Here, Venus de Milo, the lace-maker by Vermeer, and other famous sculptures are hidden away behind false panels, protected by local staff who are sworn to silence. Château de Sourches, with its massive stone wine cellars, becomes the final resting place for hundreds of fragile, valuable works, shielded from the elements and the prying eyes of the Nazis. The dispersal of the works takes place over the course of months, each relocation adding a layer of mystery and protection to the treasures. It is a monumental task, but Jaujard's careful planning ensures that the heart of French art will survive, hidden in the shadows of history. Part 4. The Nazi Approach. How the Germans Tried to Loot the Louvre, June 14, 1940. The fall of Paris is swift and brutal. The Nazi forces march through the streets of the French capital, their flags flapping in the wind as the city falls to their control. In the midst of the occupation, the Einsatzstab Reichsleiter Rosenberg, ERR, the Nazi looting and art protection team, is dispatched to inspect France's national treasures. Count Franz von Wolff-Metternich, a Nazi official and art connoisseur, is placed in charge of the Louvre's treasures, but when he arrives, the Louvre is empty. The paintings are gone, the statues are missing. For a moment, von Wolff-Metternich pauses. What has happened to the collection? The reality of the situation starts to sink in. The art is no longer in Paris. Jaujard, ever calm, maintains his poker face. To the Nazis, he plays the part of the compliant museum official. He assures them that the art was simply moved for safety. But Jaujard's deception is brilliant, because he knows the Nazis are not interested in investigating too deeply. They are already preoccupied with looting. Part 5. The Ghost Network, the Resistance of Rose Valland. Jaujard is not alone in this operation. He is aided by a network of individuals, including a quiet, observant curator named Rose Valland. Valland works at the Jeu de Paume Museum in Paris, which the Nazis have repurposed as a storage place for their looted art. She speaks fluent German and uses this skill to clandestinely record the names and movements of the stolen works. Under the guise of working for the Nazis, Valland keeps meticulous records of the stolen treasures, their provenance, their destinations, and the names of the officials who take them. Her notes will eventually become crucial in recovering over 45,000 stolen works after the war. While Jaujard coordinates the safe relocation of the art, Valland acts as an undercover spy, passing information to the French resistance. Part 6. The Return. A Triumph over Darkness. August 1944. The Allied forces begin to push the Germans out of France. The city of Paris is liberated. As the Mona Lisa and other masterpieces begin their long journey home, the magnitude of Jaujard's achievement becomes clear. It is one thing to hide a painting in a cellar, but to keep an entire nation's cultural legacy safe for 5 years against one of the most powerful regimes the world has ever known is something altogether miraculous. With the help of the French resistance, Allied forces, and a small army of curators, Jaujard's artworks make their way back to the Louvre. By the time the collection is returned to its rightful home, the Mona Lisa has traveled far from her safe houses. She's been hidden in barns behind walls and stored in dark corners. But after 5 years of subterfuge, she is back where she belongs. Epilogue. Jacques Jaujard, the unsung hero. For years, Jaujard remained largely unknown outside of France. He didn't seek fame or glory for his actions. He didn't write memoirs or speak of his heroics. He simply returned to his job as the deputy director of the Louvre, overseeing the reconstruction of France's cultural treasures. But his legacy lives on. Today, Jacques Jaujard is remembered as a true hero of the French resistance, a man whose dedication to preserving art helped save the soul of France. Though he passed away in 1967, Jaujard's name is forever engraved on the École du Louvre, a testament to a man whose foresight, courage, and quiet genius helped to save the art that defines a civilization. The next time you visit the Louvre, take a moment to reflect on the incredible story of the art that was almost lost and the man who saved it. I hope you enjoyed this story of these great people who went out of their way to ensure the safety of the world's finest art through a period of destruction and chaos. I look forward to exploring more lost wisdom in the future together. As always, thanks for watching and goodbye for now.